when it comes to teenage pregnancies, of course, as we all know that the other reason why we end up having a lot of teenage pregnancies is due to basic needs and sanitary needs. What I mean by sanitary needs is, for example, a girl is living in a home where nothing is being provided for the same sanitary needs, such as pads, lotion, and other stuff. We girls intend to find other means of getting the same things, and we end up involving ourselves into other wrong things, and eventually end up being pregnant.
Reports indicate that over 54,825 teenage pregnancies in schools have been recorded since 1997 up to date. According to a report that was released in the year 2016 by the Ministry of General Education, Western Province alone recorded 1,218 cases of teenage pregnancies that year.
Recently we had a partnership with the NGOCC, the project that was funded by NGOCC in support supported by CEDA. The NGOCC project was on preventing or reducing teenage pregnancies and child marriage in Western Province. The project was implemented in 2 districts, that's Mongo and the Limolunga district of Western Province. So the background to the project, why we really wanted the project, was that we are having, as YWCA, and the previous projects that we have been implementing, we observed a lot of issues that were raised in the communities, mostly affecting our young girls, especially the children in schools, issues of teenage pregnancies, issues of child marriages. And we realized that most of these teenage pregnancies and child marriages, they were increasing as a result of some challenges that the communities were facing. Some of them, they were long walking distances to school. You find that in Mongo district, especially Mongo itself, at that time we had the one school, government school, that was accommodating all the children from rural schools, for example, Kambule. So we find that most of the children who are passing from the rural areas could come to Kambule, being the only government school, or maybe Lukalanya. So you find that most of the children from rural areas, it means Sivongo there, they had to walk, or they were walking, coming to school, or walking their weekly boardings. And you find that as the children were walking, coming to the schools because of the long distances, they could not be walking alone, and parents could not be escorting them every time they were walking to school. So in short is that they had to work together with the boys for security purposes. So that also contributed, because when girls move long distances, and also in places like bushes, what with boys, they became so familiar to each other. So and then at the end they started engaging in such sexual activities that have maybe contributed also to teenage pregnancies, and at the end also maybe children going into early marriages. Issues of bursaries also was a challenge. Most of the children were failing to manage, the parents managing paying for their children who could pass maybe grade 9, 8 to grade 12. Most children also were going into early marriages because their parents were scared that if the child can't go to school and they fail to pay for that child, they were scared that the child may get pregnant before she gets married. So they would force their children to go into marriage when they are still they're still young. Issues of boarding facilities as well. You find that when you go around the communities, we don't have boarding facilities. Even Kambule High School, where all the children are being accommodated as being one and government school, you find that it had no boarding facilities for girls. So most of the girls were squattering in the nearby compounds near the school, actually like Kaplanga and the other compounds. So you find that the girls became so vulnerable because they were not protected. There was no one to take care of them, to guide them and provide that guidance when they are at home. So we saw an opportunity when there was that call for proposal by the NGOCC, and we applied for it. And for sure the project has helped us, because the project, we implemented the project, like I said, in two districts, that's Mongo and in Moonga.
By 2019, the project built capacity in 20 teachers and mentors, 15 traditional leaders and initiators on child rights, Gender-Based Violence Act and the Re-Entry Policy.
We've been having lessons with our pupils in the safe spaces, and we have 2 safe spaces. And in these 2 safe spaces, we have almost 100 children in the safe space. So we've been teaching them on early pregnancies, early marriages, on health reproductive, and this thing has really helped our school, because in the year 2019, when we had this safe space, the number of early pregnancies in our community reduced, and the second one is the number of early marriages also reduced.
Girls' safe spaces were also created, where over 1,000 girls were reached in 10 schools, equipping girls with information on sexual reproductive health rights, effects of teenage pregnancies and child marriage, Gender-Based Violence Act and the Re-Entry Policy.
Safe spaces have helped us in many ways. It has helped us prevent early pregnancies in certain days, especially on Wednesdays. We normally meet in clubs and we discuss about early pregnancies, early marriages, HIV and AIDS, gender-based violence, and this has really helped to reduce the number of early pregnancies and teenage pregnancies in our school particularly. And apart from the teenage pregnancies being reduced in our school, we have also recorded reduced numbers of gender-based violence, especially violence that was normally perpetrated by the boys. They have reduced on the violence, and also the girls are more concentrating on school now. They are concentrating more on school these days, since this program of dreams and being taught about everything, the safe spaces. Yes, it has really helped us in so many ways, and I would really encourage girls to be in these safe spaces.
School authorities have appreciated the impact that the Preventing Teenage Pregnancies and Child Marriage project has created in schools.
Our girl children have benefited a lot from YWCA. Cases of pregnancy have been reduced. Unlike in the past, before this organization came in our school to help our children, the number has been reduced. And then in the past, I remember at one time in one class, I think it was 2017, 2015, 2016, somewhere there, we had 5 girls who got pregnant in one grade 10 class. You can imagine that number in one particular class. But when YWCA came in place and these other organizations like YAO and PIN have reduced cases of pregnancy in schools, especially here at our school, because last year, I'm talking of just one girl who was in grade 7 who got pregnant, but she will bounce back during term 2.
We saw that in 2018, by that time, we recorded a total number of 18 pregnancies in our school. And that was a high number according to our statistics in our school. And so, because of that program, we have seen that the number of pregnancies has actually greatly reduced, because like in this year 2021, so far in term 1 we have recorded only 3 pregnancies. So we can see that I think that program is bearing fruits actually, because of the lessons that they're actually having.
Likezo Mubiana, not her real name, is a 15-year-old grade 10 pupil at Limulunga Day Secondary School who knows the effects of getting pregnant as teen and being a mother. Likezo fell pregnant when schools closed due to COVID-19 in 2020. She went back in school, but with a 3-month-old baby at home.
I would give an example of teenage pregnancies. Yes, on an example of myself, I'm a young mother with a 4-month baby. I got pregnant when I was in grade 9, and I had a challenge of coming to school, but eventually I wrote my exams and I passed. Now I'm in grade 10, but I still find it a challenge of leaving my child at home because of my family, and I have no one to leave the baby with.
Guidance and counseling teachers say the project by YWCA has made a significant difference in scaling down the number of schoolgirls falling pregnant.
We're recording a high number of pregnancies earlier, but after that program came, we saw a reduction of teenage pregnancies within the school, which is a plus to us, and we appreciate what YWCA did. So I would say if it is possible, we would request YWCA to continue with the same programs, because the pupils are really benefiting. Even the retention rate increased because they are aware when I get pregnant, that is not the end of the road. I still have to come back to school. So even when they come back to school, we still continue to talk to them, encouraging them so that they continue working hard in school despite having the babies.
Over 1,000 girls have amassed immense knowledge from the safe spaces in various schools of Mongo and Limulunga districts.
The other topics that we encouraged our girls on was the re-entry policy. Our school is able to admit children who fell pregnant, because some of the girls who fall pregnant is not because they want to, but because maybe they were abused, and because maybe of the nature of how they are staying, the environment. Some girls come from impoverished families, and they feel that because of the poverty they can do other things. So we encourage girls to know about the re-entry policy, which the government of Zambia has put in place, so that we see to it that the girl, even when the girl is pregnant, she has the chance to come back to school. So most girls who fell pregnant at that time, because that time from 2018 to 2020, we saw to it that we had a big number of girls who were pregnant. And these girls were encouraged to be in school, and later after delivery, they can come back. So that really helped a girl child to attain education. And we are proudly to say that these girls, they've performed well, most of them. And we just urge YWCA to come up with programs that will help this girl child raise their children nicely, and also attain skills or tertiary education. At least if they come up with such programs where they can fund these girls, they will get encouraged. And also, we have seen to it that even the smaller girls who are in grade 5, they are able to know, even at the tender age, to see that the dangers of having early pregnancies is not good. That will deprive their education.
With the help of YWCA, community members also helped mentor schoolgirls right from the community to ensure they keep away from sexual activities.
So my advice to my fellow girls out there is that you should just focus on education and stay in positive things. Keep up with activities that would keep you busy. Don't involve yourself into any other bad activities or influences of friends, because as peer pressure we intend to do the things that our friends do in order to look cool, as they call it, but in the end your friends will leave you once you end up making a mistake. So also boarding facilities. Here in Limulunga we don't have any boarding schools, which is a challenge because the other girls who come from other villages where they have no schools, so when they come here, for example here at Limulunga Day, as there are no boarding facilities here, so they intend to rent my houses. Yes, and when they rent, because there is lack of supervision from adults, so they end up involving themselves in other bad activities and eventually end up with teenage pregnancies and early marriages, because there is no one to guide them or to keep a strict eye on them. So my appeal to the government is that they bring boarding facilities here in Limulunga, or at least even just one boarding school, because there in boarding schools there is at least a strict supervision as being in the school.
The Preventing Teenage Pregnancies and Child Marriage project by Young Women Christian Association and its partners is a long-term investment which is key in gaining momentum towards ending teenage pregnancies and early child marriages.
The project to us as YWCA was a plus because it helped us at least to achieve something that we could not achieve if NGOCC did not come on board to help us with this bursary. And also we were engaging with the civic leaders on issues of the boarding facilities. Of course, we have seen some positive results as a result of our engagement with our leaders, that they were encouraging schools, of course, to at least to provide certain shelters to children and some protection, those who are coming from afar. And also we have seen where the government had even, upgraded some schools into higher schools, so that so that they reduce on the working distances by the girls. So at least the project really has made a lot of achievements in terms of reducing or preventing teenage pregnancies and child marriage in Mongo and Limulunga. As YWCA, we thank the NGOCC for their continued support, and we really pray that they continue with the same support so that we continue providing the same services to our young people who are still going into school, so that we have a better generation to born, the generation that will still continue providing the services for the country, for this country, and the community at large.
There is still need to deepen and scale up the initiative and target more other schools that face similar challenges in other districts of Western Province.
The program should continue because despite all the things that I went through, I still benefited from it, and I think if it continues, it will continue to send out the message to those that are not aware of the teenage pregnancies and all the challenges that they face, because the other people that have lack of information about the same challenges. If the program continues, I think it would benefit a lot of girls, because they would get to know more and more of the challenges that are faced, and eventually they would stop.
A multi-sectoral integrated approach must also be included that provide natural safe spaces for girls' engagement, like the church preach against early child marriages and sensitizing on sexual and reproductive health. For now, it is important to celebrate the gains made in targeted schools in Mongo and Limulunga districts in the Western Province. Namushakende, Katongo, Kanyonyo, Kambule, Imwiko Basic School and Imwiko Secondary, Limulunga Basic and Limulunga Secondary, Mulambwa, and Mandanga Secondary all made positive strides in ending child pregnancies and early marriages, a win dedicated to a girl child.